Over the last several years, I've played my fair share of roguelites, many of which I've grown to love, but probably none more so than Balatro. Balatro went on to create almost its own subgenre of gambling simulator roguelites with games like Clover Pit or Riffle that you can find on Steam, but one I've had my eyes on for a few months now is Raccoin, Coin Pusher Roguelike. I've been playing it for the last 5 days and felt I had enough experience and wins under my belt to share my thoughts. Quick disclaimer, I was provided a code for Raccoin, so thank you to Playstack. Don't forget to like the video and consider sharing with a friend who may also be enticed by the idea of this cute coin-pushing raccoon. So right at the bat, there are tons of comparisons to make from Raccoin to Balatro, tons of things in common. First of all, Playstack published both games, but Raccoin clearly has drawn lots of inspiration from Balatro. And where in Balatro you might be used to seeing this view, in Raccoin you're going to get used to seeing something that looks like this. If you've never seen a coin pusher before in real life, it's pretty simple. You put a coin in, it drops down, the sliding table will push that coin against the wall, which will force other coins off the shelf onto the next level, and so on and so forth. Eventually, maybe some coins fall, and you get lots of coins, lots of real money. But in this scenario, you're getting lots of points. So when you start playing, you'll be met with this view of the coin machine, and you'll use the right and left triggers to shoot coins in from left and right, and then the sliding table will naturally start the process of the coin pushing. When they fall off the back, you will get points, and if you get enough points, you go to the next round. Between rounds, you'll have an item shop where you can buy different like perks and special coins, which will have special reactions and do other modifiers and get you more points. So on and so forth. Go to the next round, rinse and repeat. This is a very similar process, once again, to Balatro. Think of the antes, and in between rounds you're buying jokers and buying special cards to go in your deck. Very similar structure here. So similar, in fact, I'm going to break it down a little bit. In Balatro, you have jokers. In Raccoin, you have chips. In Balatro, you have special coins with, or special cards with seals on them. In Raccoin, you have special coins which have different modifiers on them. And basically, similar to Balatro, you're going to be creating combos by intermixing these things, making a build to get the most points as possible. And the main draw of this is getting really, really big scores and kind of allowing the game to be broken open. That's what this game wants to do. It wants you to find exploits and break it wide open. While most runs are kind of look the same and feel the same at the start, the runs will kind of take on their own pace depending on which character you choose. There are a handful of characters. There's the manager, the chemist, the biologist, the trader, the astronomer, and all of these different characters have different specialties where they'll have certain coins that will show up more often, and these coins have different like subcategories. Like the manager is really good with math coins, and the biologist is good with like plant and animal coins. The astronomer has a bunch of space coins, and these all have different effects and work together and have synergy within their own subset to be able to create these crazy builds. Not only do you pick your character, you'll also pick your card, which is basically, think of it like a deck from Balatro. Slight modifiers that can allow you to play in certain ways. Like, for example, the one you start out with, you get an extra exchange each run, which is basically when you run out of coins, you can exchange some tickets for more coins to keep putting into the machine. The one I used a lot, I unlocked a couple hours in, basically allowed me to shake the table a lot. So in this game, when you lose a round, essentially, you're given one shake the table to kind of get out of jail free card. And the one I was using allowed me to keep earning more of those shake the tables as the run went on, which I thought was very fun and gave me lots of get out of jail free cards, which made it easier for me to win runs. The first day I had with this game, I decided to stream it, and I had a lot of fun. But the first thing I'll say with this game is it was a little overwhelming at first. The game tries to introduce topics to you slowly and give you like good examples of how to use the mechanics, and it kind of forces you into situations where you can see how things work. But even then, there's just a lot going on in this game. I found it pretty easy to become overwhelmed in those first couple hours. The first couple runs I had in those 2 hours, I was just like, lots of things were happening, and I was having a hard time of focusing on all of it at once. I was having to just focus on one thing at a time. I felt like I was missing a lot, and I was having trouble winning runs. And it wasn't until after the stream where I really sat there and focused and tried to take it all in. It took a while, but eventually it does click, and you start to understand how all the mechanics work. So when you push things off the edge, you're going to get a combo, and you're going to want to keep combos going. That's my first thing I'll bring up to you here. If this is a game you're wanting to play kind of passively in the background, it's not a game where you can completely put it down. This is a game where you will have to be kind of actively paying attention the whole time. This isn't something where you can make a play, sit there, watch the TV for a bit and go back. This is something you kind of have to be constantly be inputting to make sure that you can be putting up these combos, because once you lose the combo, it's going to drastically lessen your ability to get lots of points. So push coins off the edge, build a combo, then this in the top left you're going to see a spinning wheel, which rewards you with more coins or a coin tower or a prize ball. And you want to really keep just kind of chaining these all together. If in early rounds, this won't be as important. You can just kind of throw coins randomly and you should be able to get enough points to make it by. But in those later rounds, like towards the end of a run, you're going to really need to focus on keeping these combos up and making sure you are constantly chaining those, like the combos into coin towers, into bigger combos, into bigger coin towers, and getting all those points to get to these really, really high numbered run totals you need to get. See, like I said, early on, I was having a lot of trouble wrapping my head around all of this. And then there became like a point about 2.5, 3 hours in where it kind of clicked and I was able to create my first build. And what this build was is basically there's things called prizes that you can drop on the table, which will alter the board a little bit. And I found one that would make every coin in a certain area have the value of the most valuable coin in that area. So right off the bat, you have a big chunk of coins with really dense, high point values. And then I was able to get another prize that sucks up all the coins in one area. So just using those two prizes together, I was basically able to create a freebie of create a lot of points, take a lot of points. And I was able to really focus my build on something really that simple, and I was able to get my first win. And using that, I was able to go through several more runs with several of the characters in the game and come up with fun, interesting ways to take advantage of the game's mechanics and get wins. And then there came a point about 5 hours in where I started playing as the trader character. And the trader character, he focuses on chaos type coins. And the chaos type coins is when this game really kind of had a turning point for me, because I realized, if you look at the screen here, this is what I got myself into. I had complete and utter chaos, complete nonsense. The coins I was throwing out were out of my control. I didn't know what was going on, but it was very satisfying to see all these points flying around, all these coins just going everywhere. I didn't really know how to tell what was happening. I was just shooting coins on the thing and getting big numbers, and a very satisfying win. But then I kind of realized, what if I just started doing that every run? What if I just started kind of throwing stuff out there without thinking about it much and just overloading the screen with as many different combos, as many different coins, and as much nonsense as I could at any given moment? And then it kept working, and then it kept working, and I kept going to higher difficulties, and it kept working, and it kept working, and it kept working, and it kept working. And then I realized that I wasn't really having to think about what I was doing anymore. I kind of just got in a habit of just doing nonsense, buying every coin I could every round, buying as many different coins as I could, and spamming them all right at the start. And I was getting pretty easy wins like that. And I think that kind of detracted from my experience, because like I said, I had this Goldilocks zone a few hours in where I was getting really, like, I was proud of the wins I was getting. I was proud of like the different coin modifiers I was putting together, like paying attention to each character's strengths and like what their coins brought to the table. And that was a lot of fun. And then it kind of broke when I realized I could just throw out everything at once and the game will just kind of play itself, and that ended up being more effective in the long run. When the game does get really hectic like this, I found my Steam Deck, the fan would go crazy. you could really feel it. It was pretty cathartic when I felt like I was throwing a lot at the game and seeing a lot of nonsense and crazy stuff happening on my screen. The Steam Deck fan would whir up really fast, and it felt like I was destroying this world I was creating. I was really taking advantage of the game, and my Steam Deck was having to pay the price for it. So much so, one time my Steam Deck actually froze and crashed. The music kept playing, but the screen froze, and I had to actually close out of the game and restart it. That was the only time I had any real technical issues, was this one crash. I never had any like noticeable long time frame drops. Obviously, there were some times where frames would drop on the Steam Deck when you do something really crazy, but nothing that would like last for more than a second and affected the gameplay in any way. And this was the only crash I ever had the whole time. Now, really, the game's only going to look like this in the end of runs. The beginning of the runs are pretty straightforward, all feel pretty similar. I found the best way of success early runs was really focus on getting ways to get lots of tickets so I could focus on buying lots of coins. And while these early runs were definitely slower and a little more monotonous, the game does have a ×2 speed option. So I found myself playing a lot with ×2 speed, especially early on, to get through those early points of the run and get into the parts where I could start breaking the game open. At the time of this recording, I've beaten a run with every character except for the chemist, still trying to wrap my head around some of the chemist's coins, and I've beaten runs all the way up to the last difficulty. I have not actually tried the last difficulty yet of the 7 or 8 difficulties there are. I'm going to do that one tonight after I finish editing this video, and by the time this video uploads, I'll have probably beaten that difficulty too. Overall, I really did like Raccoin. I just don't think it's a game that I'm going to come back to and play forever like I did with something like a Balatro. This is a game where I feel like I got my fill by working my way through all the difficulties, unlocking most of all the coins, playing with all the different characters a few times, trying to learn the way their coins interact with one another. And I think it's a very enjoyable game for those 10-15 hours that took me. I just don't know if in its current state and the current way I have kind of poisoned the well for myself, if I want to keep coming back and just playing the game and going chaos mode on the game. But it is very cathartic, very satisfying. If you are someone who played a lot of Balatro, you'll feel very comfortable here. I hate to bring up the Balatro comparison this whole video, but it's very obvious this game was inspired by Balatro, right down to like the menus. If you go into the main menu screen and like look through the way it categorizes things and shows your collection, it is basically straight out of Balatro. A lot of the mechanics are very similar to Balatro. Hell, even the music when you're doing runs is reminiscent of the Balatro theme song. It's good. The whole time I was having fun, and I think it does a good job of emulating a lot of the Balatro things, and still bringing its own unique twist on it. I thought the coin pusher gameplay was a really cool idea. I just think in its current existence, I don't know if I had that same satisfaction of like figuring out runs and overcoming difficulty like I did with Balatro. I think the developer, Doraccoon, made a very fun game that I had a really good time with this week, and I was happy to spend that time. And if you're looking for a roguelite that, maybe you will like it even more than me and you'll really get stuck with it. But if you're just looking for something you maybe play for, a good 15, 20 hours, I think this is a great game to try that with. If you're watching this video near launch, it is currently on sale on Steam for 18% off. I believe it runs $12 normally, and it's on sale for just under $10 right now for the next few days. And I think it's definitely worth $10. I would buy this game in a heartbeat for $10. I think you get plenty of worth out of that. Yeah. So if you made it this far, thanks again for watching. Don't forget to like the video and consider subscribing if you want to see me talk about more games. I talk about a lot of indie games. I talk a lot about Nintendo games, sometimes some game collecting stuff. If any of that interests you, it would mean a lot if you would subscribe. Maybe share this video with a friend, all that good stuff. But yeah, that's all I got for today. So thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.